Hello, welcome to another EagleSix test video. We're going to be testing this customer's Tokyo Marui M4 recoil shock, the CQBR model in tan, and we've done a level 2 build on this one where we strip and rebuild it, obviously making sure it's built up our way. Obviously the brand new one's pretty solid out the box, but there's obviously that peace of mind in having it rebuilt. And we've done the power spring and a hot rubber install on there as well. And obviously run it through all our normal test procedures, and we've tested it at 343 on 0.2s, and we've also done the Dean's battery modification, so where we've basically converted the bars over to and had this small extension here on with the Dean's connector, and then just a small cover on there to so that we can actually retain the wireless stock system, because we actually quite like this wireless stock system. It's quite nice. Obviously if you move over to an aftermarket stock, then you're going to be essentially having to what they call direct wire. The problem is with obviously the sort of wireless stock argument is that a lot of shops and also at home people are sort of real struggle with the fact that these have these proprietary connectors on here and take a proprietary battery. It becomes quite a confusing perspective, you know, to sort of get into these. So it's like, you know, do I buy an adapter? Do I get convert the bars over? Do you just drag a wire? And obviously there's a lot of people will instantly buy back with their personal favorite as sort of gospel, if you know what I mean, in terms of like this is the only way, but we prefer to try and maintain the original as much as possible within reason. Obviously our ultimate would be to not do any of this, and that there's a drop-in pack that you can just buy for a relatively low cost that provides high performance and utilizes the proprietary system. That would be the ideal situation, but obviously there isn't those packs available. So so this is just sort of something that we have to do, because obviously we're still waiting for there to be a Lipo drop-in pack. So and I think obviously if there was a cost-effective one of those, everybody would just keep that situation and solution. So so obviously it's finding the within people's budgets solution, because obviously some people have much lower budgets, and obviously the lowest cost thing is simply dragging some wires through, cutting a giant hole, and then putting on a Dean's connector. That's the most cost-effective solution, and for a lot of people on the forums, they're obviously going to push that as the best one because it costs pennies. So therefore, why isn't it the best? Well, obviously some people want to keep the fact that that there's a wireless thing in there and there's no trapped bunched wires, so that when you collapse it down, there's obviously no space in there, you know, like there was on a G&G Raider, I think, for the actual wires to go in there, because there's a recoil system in there. So you're actually trapping and bunching all of these wires, and that can sometimes cause a bit of a jaunty stock operation, whereas obviously the wireless one it is nice and sort of smooth moving up and down, so therefore it's pretty ingenious, really. So so obviously to take that is removing a feature. It's like saying, not as extreme, but one example is saying, well, you know, I don't really fancy the recoil, so let's just remove that. So, well, you know, the more features you remove, the more you're taking away from that vanilla off the wall type experience that TM is trying to offer you. So we highly recommend keeping these. So one example was asked the other day, is these adapters, so where you can plug the adapters on. We prefer to not use these in that yes, they're the easiest and cheapest for the customer, but one, we have seen quite a loss in rounds per second, if you know what I mean, using these, and two, there's the possibility for the customers to install it upside down, which means it's a fire hazard. So so yeah, no, we not massively well, fire hazard if there's a MOSFET in there. So I think typically if you just reverse polarity on a normal mechanical one, it will just basically try and turn the motor backwards. So but obviously if any sort of MOSFET's involved there, then boom, you know, so that's, they've got no tolerance for that, and there's just a bunch of smoke coming out your gun. So yeah, that's one particular one. Another one of these Prometheus kits, so where they basically provide the bars as well, and basically you can get them with the little covers in the pack, and this is another option where you can just buy this kit and then just slide the bars in. Comes off with the actual wires, and then either a Dean's or Mini Tamiya. So typically speaking, they actually come with Mini Tamiya, but as you can see here, we've just done a small conversion on this so that you can have Dean's, if you know what I mean. So we'll make sure that these options are on the website for those people at home that kind of want to you know, just basically install this kit and do the conversion themselves. So it's about trying to make things less confusing, so that people don't get in a flap and end up ultimately maybe eventually with a gun that then just has to come to us through nature of repairs and stuff. So it needs to be relatively easy, and the easier it is to get into next gen recoils, the more people will adopt them. So it's all good. But yeah, so I'll just demonstrate it obviously going in. So we've ever so slightly widened these holes, and that will give us the ability to obviously fit a 2600 battery in there, which is pretty cool. Doesn't take a huge amount of effort, just with a 20mm hand file. And so just poke one in all the way down. And the other one, and then you can just connect up these two. And I just realised I haven't got the butt pad. Great. And then we just tuck them in there, and then obviously if I hadn't forgot the butt pad, you then just click him on there, if you know what I mean. So and then obviously that's all nice and neat in there, and obviously that's on the CQBR style stock. You know, just replying back to this example on the forums and stuff, I'll change it to a different stock. Well, what if somebody wants the Vilter style stock, if you know what I mean, with the CQBR one, with the CQBR, so or this stock on the M4, you know. So it's you know, it's about obviously utilizing those, as opposed to just saying, well, you know, you have to fit I don't know, a PTS stock or something like that, you know, just otherwise you can't run a battery in these. Well, yes you can. There's a 2600 in that. It's massive. So with Dean's, so it's high performance while retaining you know, the original system that TM intended. So so yeah, yeah, now my lecture's over for the internet. I'll get a load of rounds down range, and we'll just make sure this is all good. And obviously this is on the 2600 7.4 volt. So and this isn't using any gate MOSFET. This is literally on the stock mechanical trigger assembly. So even with the 2600, there's still that possibility to lock it up, but as you can see there, I was spamming quite quick, you know, sort of like gate MOSFET quick, but without, and it still wasn't jamming up. So, and that's the benefit of going with the much bigger battery, and obviously the low resistance build we've done. You know, it gives you that a lot more leeway, you know, before there's that potential chance of having that lockup. So you know, the lockup's basically being governed specifically by you know, how long it takes to cycle round before you then try and start another cycle. And obviously you try and start another cycle before it's finished, then that's the potential time for lockup. Obviously making things go faster, making things take less time, you know, all help with stopping things like lockup, you know, situation on these. Obviously fitting a gate MOSFET is another way to completely avoid it. So, but I've actually spoken to a lot of customers that like mechanical, you know, and they obviously want to sort of stay with it, you know, long term. So but yeah, obviously just as upgraders and you know, people who like obviously technology, then we're obviously definitely fans of the gate MOSFET. So but we'll get a few more rounds downrange. possible to spam the trigger. But like I say, there is always that possibility of that lockup. So obviously we go with the 2600 battery, and obviously it gives you that best possible chance. But obviously long term, we do recommend the gate MOSFET on these. As you can see, just by my trigger discipline, you get so used to that gate MOSFET and just having that you know, ability to sort of spam. It's really quite difficult sometimes to go back, but yeah, obviously this is a lovely gun, as you can see. Great rate of fire, great trigger response. Obviously the recoil is lovely, and we hope you enjoy. And any problems, let us know. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next video.